Aristotelian philosophy, philosophy in general, Kuzari would be considered a philosophical work, and is that something that his audience would understand? Today in the traditional Jewish curriculum, we don't learn philosophy. Who learns philosophy? In a traditional Jewish curriculum, whether that's right or wrong. Is his audience would be receptive to philosophical arguments? So is it a philosophical work?
Well, there's a great debate as to how to understand the work. Some people think it's just a polemical work. Others say it's anti-philosophical. Some even see the mystical aspects of the work. I think one thing to remember is that philosophy in the Middle Ages did not mean just what you learn in a philosophy department at a university, but meant the whole realm of science. So astronomy was part of philosophy, physics was part of philosophy, logic. All the sciences were basically started as part of philosophical investigation. Now, in terms of HaLevi and the book Kuzari, I would say that it uses rationalistic argumentation. So it's not a book of philosophy as such if we see philosophy as Aristotelian philosophy or strictly metaphysics, but as a book which uses rationalistic arguments to promote its beliefs. It's certainly in the realm or the ballpark of the philosophy. Now, when we talk about medieval Jewish thought, we often, I'd say, define things very strictly. So you have mysticism, you have philosophy, you have rabbinic thought, which is supposedly mostly legal thought, and very few people, from the point of view of the academy, transgress those lines. If we use those categories of philosophy, mysticism, legal, halachic works, so certainly Kuzari is in the realm of philosophy. My own view is that we can identify or mark HaLevi's thought as a type of empiricism. Now, in early modern Europe and England, there's a great debate between the continental rationalists and the British empiricists, namely the rationalists who thought that there were certain inborn ideas that people knew without experience, whereas the empiricists say, no, you have to have experience to know anything. So for HaLevi, says there are certain truths of reason, but ultimately the real truths are empirical truths. So that if you have an experience which you are sure is correct, and it seems to go against the theory that you might have, the scientific theory, then you have to adjust the scientific theory. I'll give you an example. According to Aristotle, for one item to move another item, they have to touch. There has to be physical contact. But then there's such a thing called a magnet. You can put a magnet down and can cause iron to move without touching it. So the medievals had to figure out how could it be that you had such an item which went against the rational rules. So too, you might say that rationally it's difficult, impossible for God to talk to humans or interact with humans, but we have the empiricism, we have the experience, we have the proof from divine revelation to the people of Israel and to the prophets. And HaLevi takes this divine revelation very seriously, because he says the Torah tells us that there are 600,000 witnesses. 600,000 witnesses can't be wrong. These witnesses saw what they saw, experienced what they experienced. They then transmitted it generation after generation, and therefore this is empirically true. The revelation at Sinai and the miracles and the revelation to other prophets is empirically true. Therefore, we have to come up with some kind of explanation how it's possible. From my point of view, the explanation of how it's possible is a rationalistic explanation. It's almost a scientific explanation. And therefore, that puts the book in the realm of philosophy or rationalism. Other people disagree. They think some of the arguments are just polemical, that Yehuda HaLevi himself didn't even believe in the arguments that he was making. But I think that one can take what he writes pretty seriously.